Hello. Well, as I know most of you are aware, what we have just seen is only happened in the past 4 years. This is one of the craziest markets we'll ever see, and we're gonna open to the downside as futures come in 5% on the Nasdaq, and certain countries have started halting trading. We are seeing peak fear in the market. There's really only a few things that could help us here. Besides the bounce that will come, which will probably just be a bounce. It might be a terrific bounce, but still, that bounce will not be long-lived. The only events really is if the Fed is able or willing, because of political reasons against Trump, to actually decide to cut rates and to do QE. However, there are many data points coming in that display the lack of necessity for this. It is grave only for people in the higher brackets of economy or people who want to retire right now. Things could get worse. They very well could. This uncertainty is unprecedented, and as well as anything else, it is hard to predict the future on what to do. Last time I spoke, I decided I was going to get rid of my short-term positions. However, I did hold my Robinhood long call option that did not prove so well. However, in the grand context of everything, I think I am well positioned in terms of 50-50 equities / Bitcoin / small alts and 50% cash. It feels like it's a time to deploy into the market, as it always does during this kind of a sudden drop in sentiment as well as sudden drop in prices. As I already mentioned, five different countries have already run circuit breakers on their stock market. They have dropped quite significantly. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but if things are to stay the way they are, it's all justified. No one predicted that Trump would go ahead and decide for himself that the tariff rate was going to be based on between trade deficit of different countries. We've already seen one country, Vietnam, cave. Vietnam is willing to go to negotiation. I assume others will as well. We have until April 9th to really decide, or for the president to decide, if things will be as they are. You must also remember that we have Scott Bessent, a previous hedge fund manager, who did pretty well for himself. Is this a calculated destruction of the economy? Because historically we have seen Smoot-Hawley different. The same tactic done in the 1930s, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we will have the same outcome, but it does mean that some things will rhyme. And Smoot-Hawley tariffs during the 1930s after the 1929 bubble did not help the economy recover. It led to quite a lot more job loss, and it did not help either that austerity measures were put in by the Fed. There is a lot that rhymes here. The Fed right now is okay with austerity measures. As the job numbers came in, they were better than expected. People are still employed. And interestingly enough, we are seeing certain things deflating, like eggs. I don't know too much about the topic, but overall, if the tariffs do stick in place, we will see higher inflation, less desire from the Fed to actually cut rates. So I'm still in the camp, and I think lower and lower people are in the camp, that we will see rates get cut and that QE will happen. I thought it would have came sooner. I'm willing to accept my flaw there, and that's why I think it is always best to diversify. And especially in times of uncertainty, it is important to hold a cash pile, because these are the best times and the best opportunities to actually buy. So, did you predict the whole entire year to be corrected, to be wrong? In 3 days, so much of what was built, gone. 6 trillion. The world moves very fast, and we're being run by quite a madman. This madman, this orange man, who has quite the charisma, I will grant him that, but still, he has decided that he doesn't no longer care about the economy. He no longer cares about the stock market. He wants to bring manufacturing back. Is it quite possible that that is just a way to create a technological revolution in the United States? Could it just be that we will automate these jobs anyways? A lot is to be said. However, in the long term, if you look at charts, you will see during these times, they've always been the best opportunities to buy. If you have the cash, and that is the issue. The issue is to have the cash. The issue is to have the money available to you when you were just going through a big bull market, to take profits, to be able to have cash on the side, to be able to determine that you can enter again for a longer period of time, because there will be volatility. And a psychological thing that happens all the time is to buy too early. These things take time to bottom out. Sometimes they don't. It really depends on the Fed, and politics depends on regulations. So it is uncertain. The VIX is incredibly high. We have seen the fear and greed index fall to the lowest ever. It's not a good time. It's not a good time to be an investor. But that is more important now than ever to learn from this. To learn and to accept, and moving forward, find a way to handle the situation if it ever happens again. Follow the signs. Figure out what it is. Insider selling. Possibly JP Morgan selling so much of their stock a month before this event. Warren Buffett reaching the highest cash position he's ever had in treasuries. There was warning signs. The Trump administration putting out this cardboard box of numbers, and the explanation of the numbers being so rudimentary. It is laughable. It's funny how much money that can be lost so quickly by one man. Hats off to all you still alive. The whole point of the game is to stay alive. I don't want to scare anyone. You want to buy blood in the streets. When there's blood, it's a great opportunity. However, when will the blood end, and when can you clean it up? We shall see. However, slowly, there's two ways: slowly DCAing or waiting for the Fed to actually pivot. What other options do we have? Fed pivoting, or fiscal policy change, tax cuts, anything lowering the burden on the American consumer. There is a lot more to be said. As I gather information, I will talk to you. I just hope the best, and God bless you. God bless America. God bless. We will get through this. Continue.